Okay, so hello everyone, welcome back to Gaelic Games Fan TV. My name is Aaron. I'm delighted to be joined here by Seamus Brady of On Cliha. We're doing something a little bit different today. I suppose I know there's club championship action on this weekend and everything else, but there wasn't really any games that really tickled my fancy. We might actually just touch on the hurling final, the Dublin hurling final, maybe later, like for a couple of minutes. But I think what we're going to do is a bit of a mock Railway Cup draft. I'm sure a lot of people remember the Railway Cup from, I can't even remember the last time it was actually played. Definitely over 10 years ago, anyway, 10 plus years ago, the last time the Railway Cup was on. Obviously in football, hurling as well, where you had basically the best teams in Leinster, the best teams in Ulster, the best teams in Munster and Connacht, all very much compete for a Railway Cup. Obviously, I think the more recent, if we look back in memory, the more the Railway Cup wasn't sort of the same as it would have been in the 90s and the 80s. I think in the 80s and the 90s, it was definitely perceived as a much more prestigious competition as, what it would have been about 10 years ago, hence the reason why they ended up scrapping it in the end. And it's not like you always would have seen the best players from each province play because of the fact that the demand for games, there's more games happening all the time. But it was always a big competition, and it's certainly something I would love to see them bring back at some point further down the line, especially in hurling as well, when you've seen teams like Ulster being able to compete in that competition. I thought it was always very, very interesting. But we're going to do a bit of a draft, obviously pick out both our teams. How this will work is that one of us will get the first pick. We'll basically flip a coin virtually. We'll do it now in just a couple of minutes' time. And whoever chooses heads or tails, and whichever way it is, we'll have a choice of picking the first team, whether we go Ulster or Leinster. And they'll obviously have the first pick for that team as well. So I suppose, first of all, Seamus, are you excited for this? Are you ready? And this should be interesting. I wonder who's going to have the better team between the two of us.
Yeah, no, looking forward to it. I think whoever gets the first pick in terms of heads or tails, I feel like whoever gets the first pick is immediately off to a great start. And it was amazing competition back in the day. I mean, I was privileged enough to interview Tony Scullion there, and he's 6 Railway Cup medals back to back in the 1990s and late 1980s, and he adores those Railway Cup medals just as much as he adores his All Ireland. So it's a great competition, and I do hope that they eventually go for it again. But I do still think that whoever gets the first draft whoever gets first pick is immediately off to a great start. So we'll see here. I'll go heads.
You'll go heads, right? I'll go tails. So here we go. Heads or tails? What are we gonna get? Tails. So I'm the first pick.
All right.
That's interesting, I suppose. Yeah. Do we start with
Well,
Leinster?
it is your channel, so
I suppose, yeah. My channel, my rules, I suppose. But yeah, like do you know what? We'll go with Leinster first of all, because I think if I have to pick my first pick for a team, I think it would definitely. And actually, one thing to disclose that I didn't say is that for the picking the Leinster team, we're going to go with a max of 5 Dublin players each, essentially. Reason for that is because we don't want it to become too lopsided with too many Leinster players. If we were to do this realistically, you could have a scenario where it's just Dublin A versus Dublin B, and we didn't want that. So a max of 5 Dublin players in each team. And just to remind people again a little bit as to how it will work. So say, for example, with my first pick as a goalkeeper, I'm going to choose Stephen Cluxton. And what that means is then Seamus will have to pick someone else in goal and vice versa. And we'll go through like defenders, midfielders, and all that crack right there. So yeah, so I guess my first pick will be Stephen Cluxton, which I think is a fairly obvious one. I think it's the whole reason why I picked to go with Leinster first, because I think it's a complete obvious one. In fairness, so we should also see just a little team graphic load up here. I'll just add in the names of my team. I'll add in the names of your team as well, and then we can compare a little bit towards the end. So what are you going with for your first pick?
I am going to go with. I thought about this because the minute that you got the pick, I knew I would have to think up of this. There's a couple of good candidates, but I am going to go. Apologies for that. I'm going to go with. Don't know what happened there. I'm going to go with Mark Jackson from Wicklow.
Mark Jackson. That's an interesting one. That is an interesting one. He wasn't
It's
even
good kick outs, good 45.
Interesting. Yeah. Mark Jackson, interesting one. I'll have to make a note of that. My keyboard seems to be failing me here for some reason. Always happens in these streams. Like, it won't actually let me click into it. Oh dearie me! You wouldn't get this on RTE or anything like that, would
Sure,
you?
I'll have it up here. I've got my phone for you here. I can send it to you.
Yeah, maybe I might try.
I can send it to you on Instagram. The team app.
Fair.
Then you can show it at the end.
Grand. Yeah, I think that might be better.
Okay, so I have here Aaron's team, and then my team. Okay, so you're going with Cluxton.
Stephen Cluxton, yeah. Interesting that you went with Mark Jackson, all right, because I wrote out a few backup options just in case you got the first pick, and my backup option was either Sean Brennan or David O'Hanlon. Now, I think having two Dublin goalkeepers maybe in the one team might have been a little bit silly maybe in some ways, but Sean Brennan of Meath, I was quite impressed with him in the Tailteann Cup. But and to be honest, I didn't even have a single Wicklow player completely in this team, but fair play. It's actually not a bad shout. Like, he actually has been.
I think if you watch him, I think he is pretty good. Jackson, I think his kickouts are very, very good. And like, I think he can boom over 45s. He's not a bad shot stopper either, so I think he's a tidy choice there.
Happy days. Well, I suppose going into defenders, I think rather than maybe doing this like position v position, because I know like we can just put the players all in their preferred positions maybe afterwards. So what we'll just do is we'll just go through defenders. Obviously 6 different picks in here, so I'm going to go for my second Dublin player, and that is Mick Fitzsimons. Obviously probably throw him in a fullback.
You're going to put him a fullback?
Yeah, throw him in a fullback. I think that's the best position for him, in my opinion. Thought he did a great job in there for the majority of the season with Dublin. He can play a cornerback, obviously, as well. We'll see, obviously, how the team maybe shapes out. We could change his position. But, yeah, two Dublin players for me so far, none for you. So, as we were saying, like, I only have 3 Dublin players left, and Seamus still has 5. So, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But who's your first pick as a defender?
It doesn't have to be a full-back line member. It can be a half-back line.
Yeah, half-back line, yeah.
Okay, I will take James McCarthy at centre half-back.
Sure. I was thinking you would go with because that's basically what it was, wasn't it? It was like it was between first and second for me, either James McCarthy and Mick Fitz, but I went with Mick Fitz as the original choice. Interesting. Do you think James McCarthy, Mick Fitzsimons, just out of interest, do you think either one of them? Do you think they stay on next season?
I think James might. I don't think Mick will. I don't think Mick will.
Why do you think that?
I don't know. I just think there's something about that. I would almost love it for them if they went now. That's maybe a little, but like, do you know that type of thing of like, in sport, very few top athletes get to go out at the top. They are at the top, and I don't think it gets any better for them now.
Yeah.
Not trying to sound bad, but Kerry are coming, and they will win another one. Dublin, like, people were saying, oh, Dublin back on top. This isn't going to be another 3 in a row, 4 in a row. No way. So what more do you have left to prove? You're already immortal. Don't go out on a semi-final defeat or a quarter-final defeat, or, you know what I mean? You came back and you beat the team that, won the crown while the Dublin team of the 6 in a row wasn't really at 100%. And you got the band back together and you proved you were the ultimate best of this generation. There's nothing left to prove. So I'd be like, go. Go.
Yeah.
There's never going to be a better time to walk than now. But then again, if you love it, why not stick around?
Yeah, I suppose it could be one of them things where they're thinking, do we give it even one more push and maybe we go and win it again? Yeah, but then at the same time, I do kind of agree with you. At the same time, I'm
just going to plug in my thing because I forgot to charge it. Don't want it dying during the stream.
No,
but literally 5 seconds.
Grandiole. I suppose while you go, I'll just there was a few comments maybe here. I'll just run into. Sean was actually saying, "What's the Railway Cup?" So the Railway Cup was a competition that was around basically through the 80s and 90s, early 2000s. I'm actually going to look it up and see when the competition actually officially ended or when the last time the competition was there. But it was basically all the different provinces basically would field their own version of teams. So be Leinster versus Ulster, Connacht versus Munster, for example. All the best players from Connacht, all the best players from Munster, all the best players from Leinster, Ulster, etc. in just a little mini tournament. Obviously, the more time went on, the interest kind of faded because of the fact that I suppose it's very hard to get behind the province. Do you know that way? Like, obviously, you're not going to grow up supporting a province. That doesn't really make sense. But it was more so from an entertainment point of view, kind of like an all-star match or something of that nature. But I think the more the time went on, attendance is, dipped over time. You weren't seeing the best players playing in it. And for many reasons, you can understand why it did get cancelled, because there are so many matches happening right now between club, county, college, and everything else. But we'll crack on with my next pick. So I am going to go with Owen Doyle at cornerback. Owen Doyle of Kildare. So that's
number 2 or number 4. Which one do you want to put him?
We'll go with 2.
Two. Very good.
Yeah, I think he had a fairly decent season for Kildare. I was very impressed with him against Dublin in the game in Croke Park. I thought he had a very, very good game that day. Can't actually remember who he was marking, but the Dublin forwards in general had a very poor enough day, and I think it was kind of largely down to Kildare's defence in many ways. But who are you going with?
I am going to take my second dub. I'm going to take Jack McCaffrey at left halfback.
That's not a bad show. That is not a bad show indeed. I think for me, I think it might be a third Dublin player, and I'm actually going to go for Lee Gannon on the other corner.
And left cornerback?
Left cornerback, yeah.
Okay.
I was kind of, there was a few other Dublin options there that I was thinking of, but I was like, box off the full back line first of all. I think we've got a solid full back line between Merchant, McFitz, Cluxton, or sorry, not Merchant, Lee Gannon.
That's your next pick.
Wait a minute, maybe I was thinking ahead there. No, to be fair, I think I'll save my Dublin picks for forwards. It was between Merchant and Gannon. Like, those were the two players in my head. I went with Gannon in the end. I think he is just that bit better than Merchant as of right now. But yeah, what's your next one?
My next one is Kevin Flynn from Kildare, putting him at right halfback.
That's a good show. That is a good show indeed. I think I had him.
Yeah, it's lightning pace. Very good attacker from my halfback.
Yeah, it's not a bad shout at all. I think I'm going to go for Donal Keoghan of Meath.
I wanted him. Do you want him at centre back, wing back?
Number 7, wing back.
Number 7, okay.
I think Donal Keoghan had a very, very good season for Meath. He was very good in that Taoiseach Cup final versus Down. And I think he's the Meath captain as well. So like he's been around the block for a good couple of years. I suppose Meath do have a fairly inexperienced team, you would say, probably at the moment. But Donal Keoghan's definitely one of the more experienced heads as of right now. Just run through your team actually again, just so I might just write them down here quickly, just in case.
So I have Mark Jackson in goal, Kevin Flynn at 5, James McCarthy at 6, and Jack McCaffrey at 7.
Perfect. There we go.
And my next man in, my 5th pick, I'm going with Kildare's Mick O'Grady at left cornerback.
That's not a bad show. That is not a bad show.
Go-to man marker whenever they play the big teams.
Yeah.
Picked up Clifford and etc.
That's not a bad show.
We setting a 5-player rule for Kildare and Meath as well?
No, I'd say just go for broke with that if you want. I'd say because I suppose there's only 15 players anyway. Like, you wanted to go with 5 Kildare, 5 Meath, I suppose you could. I don't see why not. But yeah, the main reason we went with the 5-player rule for Dublin is just because I think we would overpower this team with Dublin players.
Yeah, sure.
You know, so yeah, I suppose it's over. It's back to me again, and I'm thinking Dylan Hyland of Kildare. I think we'll put him at 5.
Okay.
So that's, I suppose we're building a bit of a. We've got all the experience, I suppose, in the full back line, likes of Stephen Cluxton, Mick Fitz, obviously in there, and I suppose Dylan Hyland and Donald Keoghan have both been around for a good couple of years for both Kildare and Meath, respectively. But they're the two I've gone for. So who's next on your agenda?
My fullback will surprise you. It's Kevin Maguire from Westmeath.
Do you know, I actually had him in as a potential backup. He was my number 2. If you had chose McFitz, I think I would have went with Kevin Maguire. It's actually a good show because I think I remember the game against Tyrone. He had a very good game.
Tolson Cup winning captain as well.
Yeah,
fantastic in that final against Cavan. And yeah, he's similar to Mark Jackson and Kevin Maguire. Like, I think if Mark Jackson was playing for a team that was in Division 1, I think Mark Jackson would be the goalkeeper over a lot of other keepers. I think he probably would play in goal for, you know, your Armaghs and your Kildares and teams like that are pushing up a bit more in the league. But it's hard to spot a brilliant cornerback or a brilliant goalkeeper down in Division 4.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, like I think it is a good shout in fairness. So I've one more defender left to pick.
Centre half back.
Yeah.
Big decision.
It's a tricky one. It is a tricky one. Because I was originally gonna go with Kevin Flynn, and I was thinking another particular Dublin player, but do I you know, four Dublin players, I think already.
4 Dublin players in the backs.
Yeah, it's a little bit much.
Because we all know who you're taking in midfield.
Yeah, and that is the problem. Like when we start running out of players to think with. I'm not 100%. This is a bit of a tricky one, to be honest with you.
There is other options. Like, I don't mind suggesting, because I'm obviously not going to pick centre half backs for right cornerback.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, help a friend out, help a brother out. Maybe.
I was thinking Paul Carnan, maybe Meath. His name Tolchin Cup centre half back. Then James Murray from Kildare.
That's not a bad show.
Ronan Wallace from Westmeath.
Do you know what? That was the name I was thinking of. Ronan Wallace. I didn't want to butcher the name completely because I had a few names on the agenda. But you know what? We'll go with him. Ronan Wallace, Westmeath, good attacking player, good on the ball. I think he'll be a good option at number 6.
Okay, so slot in there.
So there we go. I suppose, you know what? We'll run through both our teams very quickly just to remind the audience.
I'll finish mine off.
Oh yeah. You've one more option actually. Yeah, apologies.
It's a difficult choice because I made my team at the start and Keoghan was in there. Haven't thought too much further past him. I think I'm flicking through a few lads in my head now, as I don't want to take another dub. I've already taken 2. Yeah, you've already taken 4. Or 3. Right, 3. 3. Yeah. You were nearly going to take a 4th.
I nearly was. No, we gotta wait.
This is tricky now. Conor McGill is always someone that I've rated very highly from Meath and Mick O'Grady. I'll go with Shay Ryan from Kildare.
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad shout. In fairness.
Fullback for DCU. Fullback for Kildare. Solid there.
There we go. Yeah, I suppose we'll run through the teams. First of all, I'll just call through my team. So so Stephen Cluxton was the man I went for in goal. Then at right cornerback, I believe I had Owen Doyle. I had Mick Fitzsimons in a fullback. Left cornerback was Lee Gannon. Right halfback, Donald Keoghan. Centre back, Ronan Wallace. and then the left half back was Dylan Hoyland.
Mm-hmm.
So there we go. So I don't think I think it's all right. It's got a lot of experience in the full back line. A lot of players who've been there and done it. Maybe if you want to go through what you have so far.
I think good leadership straight away is what I'm noticing from my defence. James McCarthy and Kevin Maguire are strong, and then serious pace with McCaffrey and Flynn on the other side there. Shay Ryan and Mick O'Grady are two good man markers as well. So I actually like my defence so far, how it's turned out.
Happy days. And you have 2 Dublin players so far. I have 3.
Yeah, and well, let's just get it over with.
Midfielders. Look, I think it's fairly obvious. Like I'm lucky enough to have the first pick here, so it's Brian Fenton, obviously. I think that's an absolute nailed on. Like actually, when I was going through the midfielders, like there is a bit of a drop after Fenton, and it probably, it's no disrespect to the rest of the Leinster province, but Fenton is just so good. Do you know what I mean? Like he is one of the best midfielders, possibly of all time. But who's your first pick in midfield?
I've gone with a guest on your podcast, Kevin Feely from Kildare. I really, really think he's quality. He's the only guy I've seen, apart from Jack Barry, actually give Fenton some real problems. So I'm going to take him as my number 8.
That's a good show. Yeah, I had him. To be fair, I had him with Brian Fenton as well. So you've definitely got me there. But I think in terms of backup options, I think Ray Canellan of Westmeath. I think he's a very, very good player. I think played AFL for a good couple of years. He's got good fielding of the ball. He's a great points kicker as well. He'll get on the score sheet usually, kick 2 or 3 points. And he's definitely one of the more underrated players, I would say, with Westmeath. Like a lot of people will look towards, obviously, your John Heslin, Ronan O'Toole, Luke Loughlin's obviously made a good name for himself in the past while, like his whole story and everything else. I think he's quite a recognisable name on the Westmeath team. But I think Ray Canellan is more than in the conversation as well. Who's your midfield partner?
That's definitely a very good shout. There's a few that I'm thinking now, but it mainly kind of boiled it down to 2 options. So 3 options, actually. So I have Brian Howard, Tommy Dernan from Louth, and the last one then is Conor Gray from Meath. Conor Gray, obviously, Tailteann Cup Team of the Year, cracking player. Tommy Dernan is fantastic and was one of the main reasons why Mickey Hart was able to do so well with that Louth team. It's really difficult. Kevin O'Callaghan is another player I really like from Kildare. Howard is so good. It's really difficult to leave him out. I'm kind of
like if I hadn't had 4 Dublin players already, I would have 100% went for Howard as my
I am predicting that you're going to take a couple of Dublin forwards. I'm going to take Brian Howard in midfield.
There we go. It's not a bad shout. To be fair, I only have 1 Dublin player left, so only 1 Dublin forward is left for me to pick.
Who you're taking?
Yeah.
Never mind. I would assume you'll take Con, but you might take Mannion or Pascal either.
Yeah, I was gonna go with Paul Mannion, to be fair. I think I know Colin Pascal. Like, look, I've sung his praises a lot of time on this show in the past while, and bigged him up probably as our best forward this year. But I do think overall, Paul Mannion, I do think he is the better footballer in my opinion. Like when you look at the sort of sample of work he's given to Dublin in the last, like I know he was obviously missing for a couple of years. He opted out for a while, but I think there is no better player to have on the ball. And like if you're going, if we need someone to kick a winner going into the last couple of minutes, I know Pascal, to be fair, did quite well against Kerry in a couple of minutes, but I'm backing Mannion. And to be fair, he did kick what was the first of 2 late winning points. So yeah, Paul Mannion's the one for me. Throw him in a corner forward. I think number 13.
Okay.
So there we go. Yeah.
Okay, so moves and counter moves. I am now playing strategically, my friend. So I know that you are all out of dubs.
I am. I've
I am
dubbed myself
thinking.
out.
I
I've
am
dubbed
thinking.
myself
Who
out.
are you going to go for next? Now that you have to go looking
Yeah.
elsewhere. So I helped you out with with Ronan Wallace. I'm gonna stitch you up now and take Sam Mulroy.
Oh yeah, yeah. That was the next one, and that was the one I wanted to go for first. I was thinking of going for him first, and then saving, like because there's so many Dublin forwards to pick from. But yeah, no, I think it is. I think it is a great show. Like I think if there was any forward who would get into the Dublin team, I think Sam Roy would, definitely be in the, in and amongst it, if that was the case. Like
I agree.
well, yeah, I think after that, I mean, look, no Dublin players left, so it does get a little bit tricky in fairness. But I think the man maybe I will go for is Ronan O'Toole at 11 of
That's a
Westmeath.
show. That's a very good show. He's a
Yeah,
tidy player.
he is. He's very skillful on the ball as well. Like anytime I've watched him, like he moves very
He's a
quick with the
lovely
ball.
player to watch.
Yeah, he's kind of nearly a throwback to players of 10, 15 years ago, where they were like, not to say that he doesn't have a big build, but he's much smaller in size, and he
reminds me of
relies
like
a
a
lot on
kind of
pace.
Benny Coulter type, like a real kind of
Yeah,
nippy
jinky
little
kind
fella.
of forward. Yeah.
I am going to go the complete opposite. I'm going to go for power and pace and the odd moment of just absolute brilliance. I'm going to go for Daniel Flynn, left half forward. I think if you get this guy at his best, I think this guy can be a handful for any defender in Ireland.
Yeah, probably hasn't played consistently enough over the past couple of years, but he has had a lot of injuries, hasn't he?
He probably hasn't, but I mean, if you want one play to show how good Daniel Flynn is, like that goal against Dublin in the Leinster final in 2021, like we both remember that, like, where he literally took on the entire Dublin defence and stuck it in the top corner like that. He was carrying a one-man show against Dublin that day, and like he couldn't have done much more. I think him at left half forward there, a target for kickouts, use his size, use his power. I think he fits nicely into that team.
Yeah, I think so. Like, and even when he came on against Dublin this year in the Leinster semi-final, I suppose he had that unlucky moment. I think it was the moment that probably triggered Glenn Ryan, was when I think the linesman gave it as a line ball when Daniel Flynn completely rinsed, I think, two Dublin players, and I could see on the hill the ball did not go over the line, and it would have been a goal chance. And I think that's probably one of the decisions that triggered Glenn Ryan into saying what he said. But yeah, I suppose for me up next, I'm going to go Jordan Morris at 15.
Jordan Morris
in the Tailteann Cup Team of the Year earlier today. Yeah, very, very good footballer. He's been very consistent for me in the last couple of years, even when they've had, like a lot of inconsistencies and players coming in and out and lots of stuff going on behind the scenes. But he's been one of the more consistent sort of leaders in the team. And yeah, go with him at 15.
That's a good shout. I am going to kind of half copy. I'm going to put a Westmeath man at centre forward. I'm going to go with John Heslin at number 11. Very consistent free taker. And yeah, I think between Mulroy and Heslin, any free kick would be punished. So I'm going Heslin at number 11.
Yeah, no, that's a good one, because you have a free taker right there, sorted, done and dusted. Yeah, I think next up is I do have a few options, to be fair. I'm torn between two Kildare players for the full forward, but I think the one I will go for is Derek Kirwan.
Derek Kirwan at number 14.
Yeah,
he's a good shout.
Yeah, I think he's kind of been in now Kildare in the last like this year, kind of through injuries and everything else. But even any time I watched him with Nace as well, like he's such an explosive forward. He's like young enough. He's only kind of come into the team in the last couple of years. He's definitely going to be a player who's going to be, apart if Kildare are going to do anything big in the next sort of 5, 6, 7 years, I think Derek Kirwan's definitely going to be a man, very much. a part of that. So yeah, I suppose 4 forwards on the list for me. Who's your fourth?
This is where it gets tricky now. This is where
You
it
still have
gets
a couple
tricky.
of Dublin players as well, don't you? You still have...
I have two Dublin players left. And I have one player where I have to pick from elsewhere. I'm just thinking, what 2 players do I want? Oh, it's difficult, man. It's difficult. Oh, we can have a little timer in here if you want, because I'm thinking elsewhere.
No, I'll leave you to it, because to be fair, I actually need to think as well about the next 2 options for me.
I've forgotten pretty much every player all of a sudden. Now that the pressure's on, it's like I'd never watched a Gaelic football match in my life. God, this is difficult. I'm like, one name that is popping up is Conor Grimes. Like that, I was really impressed by him with Louth, his ball carrying ability, like the way he was breaking tackles. And one of the points he scored against Dublin was genuinely one of the best points I've ever seen. It was just a pity that it was so late in the day and pretty irrelevant to the scoreline.
Was that the one where with the outside of the boot, was it?
That was the one where he ballooned it up in, like, literally into the air, and it was dead straight at the post. You remember the one where he shot it and it was like, oh my God, that's actually one of the best points I've ever seen. It's difficult, tough, but I'm going to go for a player that will surprise people, but when you actually watch him play, he's a really, really good player. He does a hell of a lot of work for the team. I am going to go with Sam McCartan from Westmeath, slot in there, right half forward. I just think he does a hell of a lot of work off the ball for Westmeath. Was in the Tailteann Cup Team of the Year last year.
No, that's a good show. I had him written down as well, as one of the potential options.
Because I was thinking Kieran Kilkenny maybe, but like his form wasn't the best this year. And now it's going to be Con, and then one of 2 other people in the other corner. I'm sure you can guess who.
Yeah, I think so. I think at number 10 maybe for me, Jack Flynn of Meath.
I was going to go him. I remember he went on that ridiculous scoring spree.
Yeah, it was interesting. All right, because if you actually look at I'm working on a few other videos at the moment, just looking at top scores and everything, and he actually didn't even play that many games. He only played like 4 or 5 matches, and it was mainly from the Tailteann Cup onwards. He's one of the sort of new players that came in for Colm O'Rourke, sort of post the defeat Offaly, where he sort of revamped the team and brought in loads of new players. And Jack Flynn was one of them. But I seen him twice in the flesh. Seen him at the game in Parnell Park, Meath versus Down. Remember he came on that game. I think he was mostly playing in and around midfield, to be fair, but like he's a big lad. He's a big, tall lad. And in terms of like when you're looking at, because I suppose like when you're trying to bridge the gap on Dublin, you're looking at physicality as well. Like what players can compete physically with some of those Dublin players, and Jack Flynn certainly looks like one of those. So yeah, I'll throw him at number 10.
Okay, I am going to go number 14, Con O'Callaghan.
Yeah, I think it's kind of mad that we waited that long till Con came in, but I suppose you were playing strategic and I'd maxed out my Dublin card. In fairness, I've one left. I think of number 12, is it? I think I've left.
Number 12, yes, left half forward.
It's a tricky one, all right. Yeah, like I'm torn between Luke Westmeath is necessarily I think he'd be a good shout in there. Look at someone maybe like a Neil Flynn.
I was thinking Neil Flynn, but
yeah, I like Jimmy Hyland. I know he doesn't play in the half forward line. To be fair, he plays in the full forward line, and he wasn't really in the Kildare team at all this year.
You could move Mannion out.
I could, but I think I will go for Neil Flynn. I think he is a good shout at number 12. In fairness, so yeah, that completes my team. And then your last one in terms of a Dublin. It's going to be a Dublin player, obviously.
Yes, it kills me to do this to Cormac, but I'm going to go with the top scorer from playing the championship, Colin Pascal. I'm going to go with him, top of the left.
Not a bad show. Not a bad show. So yeah, that completes the Leinster teams anyway. Definitely some interesting picks in there. Obviously, we could only pick 5 Dublin players each, and as I said, we went with that just because to try and make it a bit more balanced, and fair, and everything else. But yeah, some very good Dublin players that didn't make it, like Kieran Kilkenny, Cormac Costello, Dean Rock, even as well. Owen Merchant wasn't. I don't even think was picked. Was John Small picked? I don't even think he was picked either.
No.
But I suppose you did have to play it strategically because you didn't want to have full of Dublin.
Kieran Martin is another one where I was strongly considering picking him.
Yeah,
there's a few other lads as well, like Cormac Egan from Offaly. Like I was considering him, a runner like Shane Horan from Offaly, Conor Grimes, as I said, from Louth. I was thinking Neil Flynn before. I was thinking Kevin O'Callaghan from Kildare as well. There's a lot of options. There's a lot of options, but I'm fairly happy with my decision anyway.
Happy days. You were putting them into the GAA score, that weren't you?
Sending them on to you right now.
Happy days. Yeah, I'll get it up on the screen anyway towards the end of the video.
I sent them to you on Instagram there.
Perfecto. I might just run through both teams before
if you pop them up on the overlay there, sure everybody watching can have a look at it as well.
Absolutely.
Put it in the comments who do we think would take it in a once-off game.
Yeah, I suppose if it would be the battle of the Leinster A versus Leinster B, will be interesting, all right. But yeah, we'll get them up on the screen in just a moment. But definitely some interesting picks in there, all right. And I suppose there is such a large gap between Dublin and the rest of the province. Like that obviously goes.
It's a tough one to pick because it's like you could genuinely have a player from Dublin who goes in. There's 2 different types of players. There's a player who's a role player and just fits in and does a job for a really, really good team, but then would also do the same job for a team that isn't as good. So there are a lot of players that are only as good as the players that you put around them. So I'm not trying to say this in any bad way, but if you put a player into Dublin starting 15, most likely they will look better because they're playing with better players. And if you were to, in my opinion, if you were to take Kevin Feely, Donald Keoghan, Daniel Flynn, especially, and put them in Dublin's team, they probably have 6 All-Irelands and look like one of the best players Dublin have ever had. So it's like, it's a difficult one to say. And then it's how good are the Dublin lads? Like if you were to put them with another, team, I think when you look at it, it's very important to look at how good they are with their clubs, because that's somewhere where they aren't surrounded by, those inter-county lads, and how do they get on with their clubs?
Yeah.
And for Fenton, for example, Fenton absolutely led from the front for Raheny throughout the club championship. He is that good. He is that guy. And that's the litmus test.
Absolutely.
As you look at other counties that weren't that successful but had unbelievable club sides, like Currafin were the outstandingly best club team in the country when Galway couldn't get near an All-Ireland final. So, that sums it up as well.
Absolutely. I suppose we'll run through both teams. So this was my team. So Stephen Cluxton in goal, Owen Doyle, Michael Fitzsimons, Lee Gannon in the full-back line, the half-back line, Dylan Hyland, Ronan Wallace and Donald Keoghan midfield, Brian Fenton and Ray Kennellan, half-forward line, Jack Flynn, Ronan O'Toole and Neil Flynn, and then full-forward line, Paul Mannion, Derek Kirwan, Jordan Morris. I think defensively very, very strong. And we've obviously got the advantage with Cluxton and his kickouts and everything else. And then the half-back line, I'll be fairly happy with that as well. Donald Keoghan, very, very good player for Meath. Ronan Wallace, I think, adds a little bit in attack as well. Midfield, I think, is very solid in Fenton and Canellan. I think I've got good balance in the forwards where it's not like, it's not like you're throwing sort of players who would normally play a corner forward into the half forward line like they do with the GAA team of the years and, team of the weeks and all that crack. So, yeah, no, I don't think it's a bad team. I think it's very, very good. I think it would be very competitive if that was a team in the All-Ireland series or whatever. Looking at your side, so Mark Jackson in goal. The only player to feature from Wicklow. Shay Ryan in there for Kildare. Kevin McGore and Mick O'Grady make up the full back line. Half back line, Kevin Flynn, James McCarthy, Jack McCaffrey midfield, Kevin Feely, Brian Howard. Half forward line, Sam McCartan, John Heslin, Daniel Flynn. Full forward line, Samuel Roy, Con O'Callaghan, Con Basquel. And yeah, like I think in terms of forwards, you definitely have the better there. Like you've got 5 absolute stars really who can score from anywhere in the field, and Con Basquel, Samuel Roy, Daniel Flynn, John Heslin. Certainly have the likes of Mick Fitz and Owen Doyle and Donald Keoghan and all these lads definitely backpedaling. But yeah, you happy with picking that team?
I'm happy with it. I was thinking of asking you a question there. I already have my answer to my own question. If you could take one player from my team and put him into your team, who would be the first you'd take? I would immediately take Brian Fenton.
Yeah. I think for me, maybe like, I suppose if we're keeping would you swap it for a Dublin player then? If you were going to swap it for, who would you take out then?
Like if we could have whoever we wanted.
Yeah. If you have, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Honestly, I'd put Howard to right half forward and put Fenton in midfield with Feely.
Fair. Yeah. No, I think that's solid. I think, yeah, I'd probably maybe go Con Basquel ahead of Jordan Morris, maybe.
Ahead of Con O'Callaghan?
I think in the form that he's in, yeah. I think the form that he's been in so far this year. I think Con's role is changed in Dublin though. Like I think since a lot of his injuries and everything else, he's drifted out from being that very like explosive full forward who's going to run away from 2-3 players, whereas now he's almost like a bit of a Kieran Kilkenny in some ways, where he's setting plays up around him. He's still contributing, don't get me wrong, but I think Basquel would offer a little bit more. In my opinion, but I think a Samuel Roy as well. Like you definitely got me with that one as well. In fairness, I suppose we'll crack on with our Ulster teams then.
He's ready.
I suppose this is going to be, I think, more interesting really, because I think we'd all agree that if there was an actual Railway Cup, Ulster probably would have the best team just by the fact that they've so many Division 1 teams in Ulster, the likes of Derry, Tyrone, Armagh, Monaghan are obviously in there as well. Donegal have lots of very good players. You look at Cavan, who've got a few attractive players. Fermanagh, plenty of talent all across the board really in Ulster. So you have the first pick this time around. So who are you going for?
Goalkeeper starting same again?
Goalkeeper, yeah.
I'm going Rory Beggan.
Yeah, that's no surprise. That was my first pick as well. There is a lot of good options though at goalkeeper, to be fair. I suppose the other two
could go Ethan Rafferty, a bit of a wild card option.
Yeah, you've got Ethan Rafferty, you've got Oren Lynch, you've got Niall Morgan.
Raymond Gallagher hasn't retired.
Raymond Gallagher, I suppose, hasn't announced his retirement. Maybe he'll come out and play for our Railway Cup teams. But no, the man I'm going for is Niall Morgan. I actually was torn between him and Sean Patton. I actually like Sean Patton at Donegal as well, but I think Niall Morgan for me. I think he is one of the best keepers still in the game, in my opinion. His distribution is phenomenal. So yeah, Niall Morgan for me. So on to the defenders.
I am going to go the man that I actually think out of the nominees should get Footballer of the Year 2023. I'm going to go with Brendan Rodgers. I'm going to put him at right half back. Interesting choice.
That's an interesting choice, yeah. I was looking at Brendan Rodgers as well, but I was more thinking midfield for Rodgers. But to be fair, he can play. He plays everywhere, really, isn't he? He's like a racehorse all over the pitch.
Yeah.
Can play fullback. You could probably throw him in a cornerback, halfback.
He is an outstanding footballer. He is just a brilliant player.
No, he is
fantastic.
So there we go. Brendan Rodgers, I suppose, up for me. Chrissy McCaig.
Where do you want them? Number 2, 3, or 4?
2.
2. Chrissy's a good shout. Very good man marker.
Yeah, I think so. Like I think a lot of people probably looked at him a little bit unfairly after. Like I know Clifford had him on toast, as they were saying. I think they might have said that in commentary, or people were saying that on social media. But I think Clifford can do that to anyone on his day. I think it doesn't matter who's picking him up. And the way Derry were setting up was very unlike Derry of what we know of them in that game, where they were leaving Chrissy McCaig and David Clifford 1v1, and Derry hadn't defended like that all year, so it was completely new for Chrissy McCaig and a new way of playing like that against the best, forward in the country. You're gonna get exposed.
Yeah, absolutely. I have doubled down on my Derry team. I have gone with Garrett McKinless at number 6. Absolutely, outstanding centre back in my opinion. I really like McKinless. He's an absolute pit bull defender. I'm going with him at 6.
Yeah, he was one of my. He was definitely my first pick in that position as well. I'm gonna go Peter Hart at 5.
Very good.
There was a few that, like, the great thing about Ulster is there's so many options. At least, not that there isn't
so many options.
There's so many like great options. But who's next up for you?
I'm gonna go with one of my favorite players. I'm gonna go with Jarlath Burns, left halfback.
Good shout. Yeah, key player for Armagh. Did an interview with him last year as well.
Look at things.
Yeah, no, he is top bloke. His dad's obviously coming in as I think he is the president now, isn't he?
Yeah,
or it's on the way, isn't it? Yeah,
he's on the way in. Yeah.
Yeah. So look, hopefully that works out anyway. But yeah, no, it's a good.
He's not involved in Armagh next year.
Yeah, I was actually gonna say that, but I didn't know if I just seen that in a group chat or if I seen I didn't want to mention it just in case it wasn't true. But yeah, no, that will be a big miss for Armagh. Make no mistake about that. Next up for me, I'm gonna go Padraig Hampsey at 4.
Good shout.
Yeah, I think it goes without saying. I think we all remember that point he scored against Mayo in the All-Ireland final a couple of years ago. It was quality stuff, and yeah, much like a lot of the Tyrone team, they've probably maybe not played to their absolute best in the last 2 years, but I don't think there is doubting the ability of a player like Padraig Hampsey. He's definitely one of Tyrone's best man markers, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree. I've gone with my first Tyrone player. I've gone with Ronan McNamee at number 3.
That's a good shout. Yeah, that was also one of my first picks. I think up next I'm gonna go Conor McCarthy, number 7.
Oh, that is a shout. He turned that position into a weapon this year.
He did, and it is mad to think that he, it's not his natural position. He obviously plays, I think he played mostly, corner forward, half forward at times, but yeah, moving him back to wing back, an absolute master stroke by Vinnie Corey, and yeah, I think he probably wins an All-Star as well.
Yeah, there's a few lads that will probably miss out, the likes of Carl O'Connell, and I am going to go with my second Tyrone man into this team. I'm going to go with Michael McKernan, number 2.
That's a good shout. Yeah. Yeah, I think. So what? You're 5 defenders down and 4 defenders down. I think I'm gonna go. I think I'm gonna go Owen McAvoy there. I know it is a little bit of a.
No, he's a very good young player. Like,
yeah, like maybe not the most experienced footballer in the world, but look, I thought he was outstanding for Derry last year, and he's part of a young crop of Derry players that are making the breakthrough. I know all the focus is on your experienced heads, McGuigan, McKay, Glass, Rogers, but there is.
I thought you'd go McCall. I thought you'd go Brendan McCall.
Yeah, like I was thinking that he was amongst the options. Like my first choice would have been Ronan McNamee. Then it was really between Owen McAvoy, Brendan McCall. But I think Owen McAvoy overall had the better year for Derry. So yeah.
Yeah, my final one, I'm going to go with a player that I'm really taking with, Conor McCluskey from Derry. Left corner back,
yeah.
bullet, very quick.
It is, yeah. No, that's a good one. He probably wins an All-Star as well. Or definitely could be in the conversation anyway. So yeah, I think my last options for centre back, I think. So I mean, could play Carl O'Connell here, but I think, yeah, I think I'll go with Carl O'Connell as centre back. I think I'll go with him. It's between him and Conor Boyle, two Monaghan players.
Oh, Bon Gallagher not get a look in.
Now that you've said it, yeah, I didn't think of him, but yeah, that is a good mention. That is a good mention. But, no, I think I'll stick with Carl O'Connell. I think he had an outstanding year for Monaghan, in fairness. It's one of them, because Donegal didn't have the season that they had and they were knocked out so early in the championship, that there probably is maybe a slight element of recency bias here with the fact that Monaghan are more fresh in the memory and we saw what they did this season. But look, they got to an All-Ireland semi-final. They are a very, very good team. But there we go. Moving on to midfielders. Who's your first pick?
Who do you think?
I would have to say probably Conor Glass, but yeah.
That's number one, Conor Glass from Gaelic Games, Glen. Straight in.
There we go. Right. There we go. Yeah, and you the thing is as well, you've got both my midfielder picks as well, because Brendan Rodgers was the other one I was hoping. I knew I wouldn't get one of them, but to miss out on two of them is disappointing.
Heartbreaking.
Yeah, but I think I think Con Kilpatrick. I think it's thrown.
Con was my second pick for midfield. Really good, really good player.
Yeah.
And now it's difficult to know who I'm going to match him up with.
Yeah.
Because I'm between two. I don't know who I'm going to go with. I think a wildcard option is Oran Murdoch. Like, maybe not now, but he's one damn good player. Michael Murphy. I'll go with him. We won't include retired players. Then we're playing a game of what if.
They could come back, you never know, but I think it's very unlikely, isn't it? We probably would have heard it by now.
Yeah, I am going. You see, because it's hard to know how they'll play together. Glass and Rodgers complement each other so beautifully. Brian Kennedy is definitely in my mind. But then Gerard McKeon and Thomas Galligan are also in my mind. I'm going to go with Brian Kennedy from Tyrone.
Yeah, no, I think that is a solid shout, in fairness. Like, I think that's the thing about Ulster, is that you've got probably the four best midfielders. Like, if Rodgers is playing there as well, and they're both as a pair, and like with Tyrone and Derry respectively, like that's what really sets them apart. I think Thomas Galligan's a great show, although he didn't play for Cavan this year, I suppose, but he could be back next year, who knows, now that Raymond is the man in charge. Gro McKiernan's a good show. I think Kieran Mackin's not a bad show, I don't think, as well, for Armagh. Yeah. I think I'll go Gro McKiernan.
Yeah, that's a very fair shout. Okay, so we're into the forwards.
We are, yeah.
And me having first pick.
I think I know who you're going for here now.
I'm going to go with Mr. Consistent at number 14, Shane McGuigan.
Yeah. No, I think that was literally. I think that was the first name on the team sheet. I think, in my opinion. But yeah,
I think Shane McGuigan could score 10 goals and 24 points, and he wouldn't be up for Footballer of the Year. The things this guy has to do for Footballer of the Year is outrageous. outstanding for Derry, and yeah, expecting more big things from him next year.
Absolutely, yeah. I suppose there's a wealth of options really for me to go for, but I think Rian O'Neill at 11 is what I'm gonna choose. Yeah, but I don't even
centre
think
forward, yeah.
Centre forward, yeah.
Very good. He was my next man in.
Yeah, like he's the perfect man for that position as well.
Yeah, he's perfect for that role. I am going to go with Donegal's Paddy McBrearty, right corner forward.
That's a good shout. That's not a bad shout at all. To be fair, like he wasn't on my first like 6 forwards, in terms of my team, but he obviously probably didn't play too much this season, obviously with injury. But when he is fully fit, there's no doubt in his ability. We saw what he's done for Donegal time and time again, scoring late points. It'll be very interesting to see how he fits into Jim McGuinness next season as well. But yeah, I think next for me, Conor McManus, number 15.
Very interesting.
Didn't always start for Monaghan, in fairness, and he could. Will he be there next season? Will he retire? I suppose that is the big question mark that we haven't found out yet. It's looking more and more likely that maybe he will be there next year, and I suppose maybe he could be an impact sub. But I think if you're looking at this as a one-off game, I think there's no better man to have on the field than Conor McManus.
Yeah, I was scared you were going to take this player. The minute I clocked I'd taken McBrearty first, Dara Canavan. I'm going to take him in the other corner.
Yeah, he was on
the
team.
He was magnificent last season, particularly against Monaghan.
Yeah. And I don't think he had necessarily the worst game in the world versus Kerry as well. I think that might have been, it was either himself or Rory who sold one of the Kerry players a dummy and popped it over. I remember I was on the hill watching that game and I was thinking, wow, that was special. A special Canavan-esque point. Obviously wasn't meant to be for Tyrone on the day in the end. But yeah, no, I think that's a solid show. I could easily get the other Canavan on the team, maybe mix it up with Canavans versus Canavans. But no, I think the man I will go for is Darren McCurry of Tyrone at 13.
Good show. Very, very reliable.
Yeah. Yeah, and even when Tyrone have struggled in the last 2 seasons, he's still been one of their more consistent players in terms of output. So I think that speaks volumes. And I won Footballer of the Year when they won the All-Ireland as well, 2021.
No, you didn't.
Did you not know?
No, that was McGeary.
Oh, it was actually, yeah. You're right, actually, yeah.
You see, I'm thinking him for my choice. Now, he post 2021 form hasn't been what it was. He hasn't been starting for Tyrone in every game.
Yeah.
And you can't deny when he's on his game, he's brilliant. Conor Myler is another one that I'm thinking of. Obviously Galligan.
Yeah, like it's one of them with Tyrone. Like there's so many players you could look.
There's so many players that I'm like, God, if you played at your best, I'd have you in my team in a heartbeat. But
yeah,
you haven't been playing at your best.
No.
Even from down, like Liam Kerr looked awesome in the Tailteann Cup. Like the pace he has is just ridiculous. Eugene Brannigan, obviously Club Footballer of the Year a couple of years ago. But I am going to go with maybe a potential surprise, but I do think he's a fantastic footballer, Michael Langan.
Yeah, that is a good show. I didn't even have him as a potential, as an option, really. So yeah, but it is actually a good show. To be fair, I didn't think of him. Like when he is sort of onside, he definitely is playing his best stuff. In fairness, yeah. So what have I got? 11, 13, 15. So I think I'll go Oisin Gallen at full forward for Donegal.
Oisin Gallen's a good show.
And I think I think he's going to be if Donegal are to go on and do anything special under Jim McGuinness, like he's going to be the man, you know, that everyone talks about because his age profile and everything is perfect. He's just about coming into his prime, like, and everything else. But yeah, who are you going for next?
It's getting difficult now. It really is, because it's like, what team do you want to build? I'm looking at this as like, how will these guys play together?
Yeah.
Like, obviously, there's some deadly inside forwards that we haven't picked. Like, you've picked your full forward line, so it's safe to say it. But like, obviously, you could pick Paddy Lynch. Obviously, you could pick Jamie Brennan, Rory Canavan. But it's like, how do they fit into your team? Where do they play?
Yeah.
You need people that are going to put the shoulder to the wheel around the half forward line as well. And does Paddy Lynch do that? I don't know. There's one player, very clever player, that didn't play last year. I wonder if you can guess who it is. He might be coming back.
Didn't play last. Are you thinking Sean Quigley?
No. Small player, but very, very smart. Broke our hearts in 2014.
Broke our hearts in 2014. Obviously a Donegal player.
Palmed home 2 goals.
Was it Ryan McHugh?
Yeah. I was thinking him. He didn't.
Yeah.
He didn't play last year for Donegal, but when he's on it, he's brilliant. But then if you're doing when they're on it, then you obviously just go Kieran McGeary, because he won Footballer of the Year when he was on it.
Yeah. Is he coming back next year?
I think with McGuinness, surely he comes back.
Yeah. Because he's playing club football still, isn't he?
Yeah. It's difficult. I'm thinking Ulton Kelm as well from Fermanagh is brilliant.
That is a good show.
Do you know what? Based off Footballer of the Year, I'm going Kieran McGeary.
Fair. And you know what? Like he's, like I've kind of said before, I think there clearly maybe is some sort of issue with throne management or something, because there's too many players not making themselves available, not playing to their full potential. You just wonder yourself as manager, maybe you might be able to get the best out of them. You know,
the good environment.
Yeah. But there we go. Maybe we should have picked managers actually for these teams. Maybe we might do that for the crack towards the end. But I suppose next
you can
for
take
me,
Nicky Hart for 15 years and then I'll get him.
yeah, Nicky Hart. Yeah, we'll bring him back again. I think I'm gonna go for Ethan Doherty at number 10.
Keeping
the youthfulness in the team.
He's one of those players that like you don't appreciate how good he actually is.
Yeah. He actually reminds me quite a lot of Noel Scully and some of the work he used to do with Dublin, where he was,
like a giant Garrod McKeon and Rian O'Neill shaped hole in my forward line. Those two are the two that I had as my pick for centre forward. I was like, well, if he takes Rian, I'll take Garrod.
Yeah,
I have absolutely no idea who I'm going to put at centre forward.
Yeah, I think
zero idea. Paul Cassidy was very good for Derry. He was very good. He definitely deserves a shout.
Yeah. He was actually, yeah. Paul Cassidy's actually a good show, yeah.
He's up for an all-star, but just not 100% convinced. Like Darrow Boyle was really good for Donegal as well this year. Walton Kelm, Thomas Galligan. There's a lot of good footballers there, but who fits the role?
Maybe give an Antrim a shout. Dominic McInhill was good as well.
Yeah, he was very good. I'm going to go with Micheál Bannigan from Monaghan.
That is a good show, actually. He was my second pick for centre forward. I was thinking of putting him at 12. But yeah, Micheál Bannigan's a great shout in fairness. So yeah, I suppose that's your team complete. I think my last position is number 12. left half forward. I suppose the options are, I mean, Paul Cassidy's definitely an option. Ryan Johnson of Down is an option. Yeah, I suppose as Daniel says, Kieran Thompson and maybe helping me out. Kieran Thompson may be an option. But I think Kieran McFell maybe as well. Kieran McFell maybe of Derry.
Good player.
Yeah. You know, I think I will go with Paul Cassidy at Derry because, yeah, I think that's the perfect. I mean, there's definitely a lot of Derry players in my team. Like, there's a lot of balance between, you know, Paul Cassidy on one wing, Ethan Doherty on the other, Rian O'Neill in the middle, and then a full forward line, Conor McManus, Darren McCurry's obviously in there as well, and Oisin Gallen. So, yeah, no, I'm fairly. I'd have to say I'm fairly happy with that. Seamus, if you want to send them on again, I'll jump them up on the.
Yeah, already on it.
On the screen, and then yeah, I suppose we'll see. For any viewers who are watching or listening in, they can let us know as to which team they think is better. But are you happy enough with?
It is weird how when one player is taken, all of a sudden your whole team gets thrown around.
I think that's what kind of makes it fun, though. To be fair, because I think if we were just to take
whatever players you want. Well, who's the first player you would take from my team this time?
I'll tell you what. When I get it up on the screen, we'll decide. Well, actually, do you know what? I already know the player in my head. Brendan Rodgers, without a doubt. I think him in there with. That's the only part of the team I'm not fully convinced with is the fact I've got midfield of Grow. I know Grow McKernan did play in midfield, I'm pretty sure, for Cavan this year. But a midfield of him and Con Kilpatrick, like I'm not really. There isn't a huge amount of balance in that midfield, I don't think. So that maybe would be one issue I would look towards. You know, swap out McKernan, bring in Brendan Rodgers. Swap transfer.
Yeah.
What player would you swap?
From your team into mine, Rian O'Neill.
Yeah.
Immediately. Not even a question. Rian O'Neill. Straight in. I rate Conor McManus as one of the best footballers I've ever seen. But he is 37 now.
He is. It'll be interesting to see if he does stick around next season.
I think he is sticking around.
I think he is, yeah. It's been weird, like, because I haven't really heard of too many retirements, really. Like, in terms of players, we haven't really heard too many. The Dublin players all seem to be there. And, yeah, I think StreamYard is letting me down here in terms of trying to get these teams up. It's after completely failing on me, but we will get there. Absolute carnage here now. It says we've got 3 people in here, four different cameras in here. But yeah. But no, it will be interesting. It will be interesting to see, like, if there is many retirements.
Yeah, no, for sure. I feel like there might be a couple of Dublin retirements.
I feel
like we'll see.
See what happens. Yeah. Right, here we go. Let's get the teams up. So this is my team. So Noel Morgan in goal. Well, actually, no, we'll go through your team first, just because you had the first pick. So Rory Began in goal of Monaghan. Just give me a quick second here.
Yeah, I can hear something.
Yeah, like I had my phone on low volume. I don't know why it was playing. I had it on the lowest volume possible, but there we go. Rory Began in goal, Michael McKiernan, Ronan McNamee, Conor McCluskey, and then the half back line, Brendan Rodgers, Garrett McKinless, Jarlath O'Burns, midfield, Conor Glass and Brian Kennedy, half forward line, Kieran McGeary, Micheál Bannigan, Michael Langan, full forward line, Patrick McBrearty, Shane McGuigan, Dara Canavan. It's a very good team, in fairness. Definitely some.
Jack McCarron is one of the big shouts that's missing.
He is actually, yeah. I had him as one of my backup options. Yeah. And I think we kind of went through maybe some other options there. But yeah, this is my team then. So Noel Morgan in goal, of Tyrone, Chrissy McKay, Owen McAvoy, Paul Campsey, Peter Hart, Carl O'Connell, Conor McCarthy, Con Kilpatrick, Roe McKiernan in midfield, half forward line, Ethan Doherty, Rian O'Neill, and Paul Cassidy. Full forward line, Darren McCurry, Ushing Gallen, and Conor McManus. So, yeah, as I was saying, like the only thing is midfield. Like I think when you were saying there earlier, like when you take one player, sometimes you can try, sometimes you don't have the best memory. You can't remember every single player off the top of your head. So when you took Brendan Rodgers in your defense, that threw me off, because then you also took Conor Glass as the first pick. So I was left with Con Kilpatrick and Brian Kennedy as my backup options, and then you took Brian Kennedy as well. So it was like, yeah, do I go with Kieran Mackin of Armagh? I don't really. Yeah, it doesn't really. So Grow McKernan in the end.
I was tempted to let you take Brian Kennedy and then put Grove McKiernan at centre forward.
Yeah,
I was tempted to take Quayla McGonigal from Donegal.
Yeah,
and put him in midfield. I think he's very underrated.
Actually, yeah, that's actually a good shout. To be fair, I didn't even think of that. No,
and then put Garrod at centre forward.
Yeah, even even Oren Murdoch like mightn't have, instead of, like, just for a bit more.
Is a quality player.
No, he is. He definitely is. There's no shadow of a doubt. But I just think that the balance may be between them. But then again, Con Kilpatrick can do the dirty work. Grow McKernan can add a little bit in attack as well. So, and he does have that physical presence around the midfield, in fairness. But yeah, let us know, like, both teams, what you'd go for. Maybe we'll just run through both of our teams in Leinster and Ulster quickly before we finish up. So in Leinster, this was my team: Stephen Cluxton, Owen Doyle, Mick Fitzsimons, Lee Gannon, Dylan Hoyland, Ronan Wallace, Donald Keoghan. Midfield: Brian Fenton, Ray Kennellan, Jack Flynn, Ronan O'Toole, Neil Flynn, Paul Mannion, Derek Kirwan, and Jordan Morris. And then your team was Mark Jackson, Shay Ryan, Kevin McGuire, Mick O'Grady, Kevin Flynn, James McCarthy, Jack McCaffrey. Midfield: Kevin Feely, Brian Howard, Sam McCartan, John Heslin, Daniel Flynn, Samuel Roy, Con O'Callaghan, and Colin Basquel. So that was the Leinster teams. And I won't go through the Ulster teams again. I think we just went through them there, in fairness, saying too many names for one day. But yeah, I think the first pick was kind of really what done it for either one of us. Maybe in hindsight, if I was to look back, I think I would do, say like someone gets the first pick on the goalkeeper, the other person gets the first pick on the defenders, things like that, just so maybe we can keep the balance there. But I think, in fairness, both of us did a good job with both teams.
Yeah, I feel like good managers there for the future. Proves we might know a thing or two about the game, covering it long enough.
There we go. But yeah, let us know in the comments down below what you thought in terms of Leinster and Ulster. Which teams do you think would come out on top? And if you did enjoy this, let us know. Maybe we might do Munster versus Connacht up next. Maybe get big Matthew Hurley in for that one, since he is the Munster expert. So yeah, there we go. We'll go ahead and wrap this up here. Anyway, Seamus, thank you very much for coming on. Make sure to check out on Clithe when you all get a chance, and leave a like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and we'll chat to you all soon.